In this video, I am going to offer a slightly different perspective on waves, how waves come to be, and the relationship between what I will call the mental layer and physical space-time. Waves are the bridge between the two. To understand biology, we analyzed behavior and then chemistry. To understand chemistry, we used physics. This was a few hundred years of constantly increasing the resolution of things. Now in the age of particle colliders, as our ultimate resolution, our predictive models on how we thought things worked can only point to probabilities and uncertainties. I am going to explain why and bridge the layers beyond space-time to space-time, and why we are not able to determine the behavior of space-time. I make these videos by just talking into the mic, so I hope in post I'll be able to accompany some images from me, myself, and works of other people that help us to understand this message I'm trying to convey about waves. The most fundamental node or agent, instrumental in the creation of waves that we actually see in space-time, would be the proton and the electron, and its antimatter version, the positron, and I suppose antiproton in the center. I'm suggesting, through my own investigations and understandings, that there is another layer, a layer that we have not yet detected, we only see the symptoms of. This layer is instrumental in creating electron waves, sometimes standing waves, sometimes traveling waves. It depends on the environment the wave is embedded in. This layer, I call it sub 2, the second sublayer, is a mental layer, a layer of pattern that recognizes patterns. It itself is not patterns. It recognizes patterns and couples with them. The first sublayer is a lattice structure. It's a quantum lattice. This is the finest structure in our space-time. The fine-grained structure of all space-time is a ground state field. I just call it the quantum lattice. And so, it is the mental layer that couples with the patterns of nodes in space-time. This is what generates fields. There are 3 layers to generate fields. The first layer being the quantum lattice. It is the geometry of this lattice that creates spin upon attention from the mental layer. The initial stages of any wave are created by a dance between the electron and the positron, also creating virtual photons, or what they call virtual photons. This creates momentum. The magnetic to and fro of attention creates momentum in a specific direction for growth, depending upon the environment. Relationships, or the coupling between nodes and the mental space, generate the required wave concerning that particular environment and agent or nodes. I'll just stick to nodes for descriptive purposes. But nodes could mean anything from protons to electrons to a group of birds to neurons to people in a crowd. I will just be using the descriptive term nodes. The similarity in nodes is what causes a resonance pattern that is automatically recognized by the mental layer, and maybe if not recognized, will create and resonate with a new mental energy. Whether an already established pattern or a new pattern, it creates an energy that has to couple for attention purposes. This is for memory. There would be no memory without the coupling of the mental layer. Then nothing would exist. Everything would just be one thing in one space at one time. And so if we imagine the quantum lattice expands the whole multiverse, from its perspective, everything is at the same time and in the same place. This is why we have nested mental layers, to maintain separation. Due to the attention of the mental layer, you can put your phone down, go to the toilet, come back, and your phone will still be just how you left it. As all those patterns in your phone and the whole environment are connected to a mental layer with energy that has its attention on the atoms, the molecules, all the patterns in these environments. So essentially, an event is only created in hard space-time at the formation of molecules, not the waves, not atoms. Until then, it is potential, as we witnessed in physics with virtual particles, etc. Only upon a larger agreement and relationship do they start to create memory. Intensity and distance of nodes are what determine the type of wave which is coupled to the mental layer. Also the likeness of nodes in terms of goals and size, etc. This is also dependent on the environment. There are environments and nested within environments the whole time, all the way down, right down to the molecular level. The largest waves would be gravity at probably a universal scale or even larger, as there is a ground state flow that carries around the universe. This would be an ultimate mind, the ultimate wave. And the lowest would be the bonding of a few electrons to create a molecule or a hydrogen molecule. Some other examples of waves in what many people probably would consider unlikely places are brain waves due to the nodes of neurons, bird murmurations, migrations, insect behavior, crowds of people with shared interests. In brainwaves, for example, we now know that the neurons only spike due to wave activity. So it is the wave moving across the brain in a hierarchical fashion that is causing the neurons to spike. Just like the waves of the environment enter through our sensory perception and cause also neurons to spike. This is how we see, through electrical signals to neurons through beliefs. Waves first, chemistry second. But there are no waves without the coupling to the mental layer. So there is space-time, a quantum lattice ground state to produce energy, and then the mental layer for such purposes as memory and attention. Unfortunately, so far, the only tool we have that can investigate this mental sublayer is the mind itself. This is where we hear such crazy claims like near-death experiences and people on psychedelics, people that leave their body or do remote viewing or telepathy. Many of these things, all visual, sensorial phenomenon translated by the brain as the mind or the waves that trigger the brain are experiencing things beyond what we usually experience in space-time. These are mental layer attributes. So, atoms arise due to the potential goals of the environment or field, or fields, nested environmental fields. The dynamics of these atoms create their own resonant field, creating a larger field or a molecule, and so on. Each field coupled with a mental, energetic layer. It resonates with for memory over time and growth in all layers. The purpose is for growth. Each individual layer resonating with its own field has a goal. This goal is the highest potential within those nested environments. Without the sublayer of hierarchical mental coupling, there would be no distinguishing between physical, emotional, and mental patterns, so no memory. That means nothing. There would be nothing. So it's not that any of these are fundamental, whether it's a mental consciousness or the fundamental aspects of the Higgs field or vacuum energy. This is the wrong way to look at things. None of these are fundamental. If we were going to consider fundamentality, we would look in terms of relationships. It is the relationships themselves between all layers that is fundamental to anything that exists at all.